Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. It's great to be here.
Hopefully everyone has had coffee. I've not had coffee. I know you have. So before we start, can I get a show of hands? How many people here have used Flipboard before?
All right.
So just like everyone. How many people use it regularly?
All right.
A good number. We have a subject that we're going to be focusing this around, but for a second I want to talk about the company in general. So how's Flipboard doing?
It's doing great. We're now, I like to tell people that I've started one company every 10 years for the last 30 years now, or 25. So I'm about 5 years into this company. Flipboard is doing incredibly well. We managed to hit just the right product at just the right time. Obviously focused on building a product that's inherently mobile and leverages where social media is going to help people get great content about their interests. Facebook is really about friends and family. Twitter is about real-time news. Flipboard is about your interests. And so we have built something that is really special. Millions of people use it every day. They love it. And we're just getting warmed up. We're very, very early on still with our product roadmap and our direction. And I'm so excited about what we've got coming down the pipeline.
So you said every 10 years. Does that mean 5 years from now you'll make a sale and go on to the next thing?
Well, Flipboard is by far the best startup I've ever done. It's the kind of company that I think has the durability and the foundation to be a lasting business that will go on hopefully long after me.
One of the things that comes to mind is there's clear interest, or at least rumored interest in Flipboard by Yahoo, I think Google, Twitter. Do you think that says anything about what you're working on?
Well, what it says is that we're in a very strategic portion of the industry that's very valuable. Users really want great, high-quality content around their interests. And that's what Flipboard is focused on. And so it's true that there are other companies who have very significant numbers of users who also think that area is pretty strategic for them as well. But it's a pure play for us. It's what we're totally focused on. So we'll see how things play out. But I think that ever since we started the company, there's always been acquisition interest and so on, and that's just kind of part of building a company these days. Is you just have to learn how to parse that over, and you never say never, but you got to build something that is inherently durable and is can be a standalone business. And as long as you do that, then you have all the options available, as you do it.
Did you just confirm that those companies were interested in acquiring Flipboard?
I did not confirm anything.
Had to ask. So the topic of this talk, aside from the fact that it's just great to talk to you and hear about kind of what you're working on, is halo moments. And I think the term's a little bit opaque. I'm sure that some of the audience knows about it, other members of the audience may not. And so the way I've come to understand the term halo moment is basically it's an aha moment. It's the ability to surprise and delight. It's basically when someone expects your app to do something, you actually do it. So how does Flipboard go about doing what it promises to do? And then I'm guessing by doing that you can turn some casual user or one-time user into a Flipboard addict.
That's a really interesting question. In the very first release of Flipboard, we focused on having that aha moment. We called it an aha moment. And the idea was that when you first launched the app, we wanted you to immediately know that this was something new and different right away. And we wanted to have a sort of 15 to 20 second opener, if you will, not a video, but something where you engaged with the app and a story effectively unfolded in front of you. So what we did was, we of course were building a personal magazine for the iPad. That was our first platform that we focused on. So when you launched it, you saw a cover of a magazine that was Ken Burnsing, and that immediately looked like something that you'd never really seen before. And then the first thing we got users to do was to flip, to just swipe and have the page flip. And it was this iconic flip that we developed. And so the very first thing that every single user did was that first flip. And then after that, they saw the table of contents, where they could dive into any one particular section of their personal magazine. And then they tapped on that and then did a multi-flip over to that. And then you tapped on an article, and it zoomed in a way that was totally new, that kind of transition that we did. And it looked absolutely beautiful, like magazine. So within the first 20 seconds or so, we got users to see that this was a fundamentally different product, that it was a personalized magazine that was like a magazine, but from the future. And then we got them to do that first flip. And that combination really created that aha moment. And we've strived to have more of those as we've built the product. It's actually harder and harder to do as the product matures. But when you have that first opportunity to make that great first impression, that first 20 seconds or so of using the app is incredibly important.
It seems like now I went through, I've used the app for quite a while now, but I went through the sign-up process again because I wanted to see what it was like. And so I did it on the iPhone.
Yeah.
And I don't even think you told me that I needed to flip. You might have, and I ignored it, or I got distracted. But I think it was I just did it.
Yeah.
And on the iPhone, it's
right. It's vertical.
It's vertical, but so it seems like Flipboard, the name works quite well.
Yeah.
It seems like you've figured that part out. So how do you go beyond that? Is it the content? Does it all go down to your content recommendation engine?
Well, as you said before, you need to have a product that fulfills its promise. So that first 15, 20 seconds of introducing the user to the product, then you need to deliver on that. And that is immediate as well as long-term. For those of you who tried Flipboard and haven't used Flipboard recently, we need to figure out a way to make sure that we evolve the product so that you have a reason to come back and try it out and say, oh my gosh, look at all this amazing stuff that Flipboard is now doing. It does come back to lots of fine-tuning and refinements and honing of the content, the quality of the content recommendations, our community of curators who are curating content about these interests and evolving that and getting that community to thrive. And as it does, the quality of the content on Flipboard gets better and better and better. So the product has to always be getting better. Every single day, it has to be better than it was the previous day. And if you do that, then your existing users are going to fall more in love with the product over time. And the ones that tried it and they weren't sure, maybe they got stuck on something and they weren't sure it was something for them, they didn't know how to personalize it, you figure out why did that happen, and you gradually make the product better so that doesn't happen again. So it's a lot of blocking and tackling, a lot of continuous improvement.
Do you max out improvement over time?
No, I think that there's, coupled with the continuous refinement and the polishing of the details, is every 6 to 18 months a major new innovation that's added to the mix that gets you further along your vision. So Flipboard, our vision is to build something that is the single best place for all your interests.
Yeah.
The place you go if you're really into not just photography, but let's say mirrorless photography. And not just mirrorless photography, but landscape mirrorless photography. Very specific, focused things that you uniquely are interested in. And there's a small group of people who are just as interested in that as you are. And they're helping curate great content around that interest. And then you can follow that interest as well as other interests. Maybe you're also interested in the future of clean energy. Maybe you're also interested in what's going on in the Middle East. Maybe you're also interested in startups. And so you can gradually have this very personalized feed of content that is incredibly unique, and you just can't get anywhere else. So it's that combination of the refinement plus every now and then adding big new features that get you closer to achieving your vision.
So this is a mobile conference, and I want to talk about mobile growth. That's the tagline for this talk. But you recently launched on the web. Was it in February?
February, yeah.
And right now, what's funny about that is that it's like every web service is kind of clamoring to figure out how do we get mobile.
Right.
Companies. One company, a designer from Airbnb, just yesterday was talking during a panel about how they rethought their product when they made their iPad, their app for the iPad, and yet you're already there. And so why do you bother going to the web?
Well, I think that I believe in the web. And Flipboard is more than just a mobile app. It's an ecosystem. And it belongs on the web. All great ecosystems need to be on the web. And when I say the web, I refer to not just the desktop web, but the mobile web. And I think that what we aspire to do is create the world's best collection of content and community and products around interests that you can access from the web, from other websites, from other mobile apps, from our mobile app. That's ultimately where we're aiming at. And interestingly, Flipboard originally was going to be a web product, but we felt that the web just still was too didn't have the right technology advancement to be able to support what we wanted to do with the user experience. And so ultimately, we had heard these rumors of this tablet that Apple was theoretically working on. And the rumors became louder and louder. And we decided that what we would do is bet the whole company and focus just on the tablet as our initial product, because it was the best instantiation of our vision. But we always wanted to get back to building that ecosystem and making it work on the web and be encompassing of the web.
And so this drove results. Doing this, going to the web, it drove incredible results, didn't it?
Yeah, the web is another great way to get users to discover Flipboard through search, through links from our partner websites. And what it enables is curators to realize and recognize that when they're curating on Flipboard, it's not only for people who've downloaded the app. It's for anyone on the web who discovers that content that's surfaced inside of Google or any other number of places.
So I think you had 40 million monthly active users in February? Or I think that was a figure that was reported.
Something in that zone.
I don't know how.
Yeah.
Do you have a figure to share with us?
Well, right now we're at about 70 million monthly active users.
And how current is that?
That's basically for June.
For June.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've seen the month before we were right around 65 million.
That's a big difference for a 5-year-old company.
Yeah. We've had very good growth. And the growth is coming from a variety of different places for us, and we're continuing to evolve that. I think, again, as long as you build a product that is inherently useful, and one of the things I do is I listen to our users constantly. I talk to them on Twitter. I use Twitter all the time. I cannot imagine building a consumer products company in a world without Twitter, because Twitter allows you to engage directly with your users in ways that are very quick and transactional. So if somebody tweets out that, I search for Flipboard on Twitter every day in the morning, and then when I see people say, oh, I love Flipboard, or I don't like Flipboard, or I don't get it, or I'm having trouble with this, I oftentimes interact directly with them. Hey, what don't you get? What don't you like? What can we do to make it better? And I get great feedback back. I look at all the user reviews in the App Store. I use the product on an ongoing basis, just as a passionate user myself. And I think that if you keep doing that, and you do that with a really high quality team. You get a good mix of funding to fuel all that. You build a really high quality business model that's synergistic with the user experience. So high quality content and high quality advertising from Gucci, Breitling, the world's best advertisers and best brands, Apple, Google, et cetera, advertising on Flipboard. If you do that, then, and you just keep repeating that, then you're going to get that kind of growth. It will take time, and you have to have patience to get it to happen. But we're living in an era where you can build companies like that, and still very much early innings. I think the really truly great new companies have yet to be created now. This is an amazing time as an entrepreneur.
So if you had to create a company from scratch, how would you grow it? How would you create that aha moment?
Well, I think that your point about the aha moment, I think, is a very, very good one. Some people talk about the idea of the minimal viable product, and that was an idea that I think got popularized in the world of the web. I think that's quite difficult to do in the world of mobile. I think that theoretically, or some of the first principles of the minimum viable product are good ones. In other words, you don't have to have every single feature before you ship. But I think the point you're bringing up about this aha moment is absolutely crucial. For any mobile app to have, you have to know that you don't ship the product until you have shown it to other people and you've gotten them excited about that aha moment. If you do that, then you're ready to ship. If you don't, you're just not ready to ship. And I think that's a very high bar, but it's better to have that bar set high before you ship than to ship and make a not great first impression. Much harder to iterate after that and get user attention.
So we have just enough time for 2 quick questions. Does anyone have a question? We have mics around. Looks like some people are going to run a mic to you, sir. And there we go.
Hi. I want to ask a question about the first year of growth. So what was the most important tactic or channel you used actually for growth in this first year?
The first year of growth was really fueled by having chosen a platform to dedicate all of our energy to, which was the iPad. There were a lot of different platforms we could have developed for: the web, the iPhone, Android phones. We chose the iPad. And that then led to focus from a small team. And it led to a different approach to the user experience that we otherwise wouldn't have done. And it led to a lot of awareness in the press and amongst influencers and with Apple, who promoted us pretty heavily. They made us the app of the year. Steve Jobs was a fan of the app himself, and that was huge for us. So that first year was all about that choice of getting that aha moment right and really living up to the promise of the iPad. Not just building an app that was just yet another app on a larger touchscreen, but really something that embraced what the iPad was all about and really going deep on that. That was really what fueled our first year of growth.
Yeah, thank Mike's for the insight. We talked about ecosystem, and all good ecosystems needs to be on the web. Can you elaborate on what is the ecosystem of Flipboard, and then do you see enabling commerce, purchase transactions within the experience for that ecosystem?
That's a great question, and you're getting at kind of where our vision ultimately takes us. There's so much more we can do to give our users the best content, products, and community around their interests. And products are definitely something, and commerce is something that is a hugely significant part of what we will ultimately do to achieve our vision. We've only just begun on that front. You can curate products now from Amazon, from the app stores, from eBay, and we're going to do more and more and more of that as we start to build out the vision. The key thing is to have that vision where you want to go, but you can't go and do everything all at once. So what I like to talk about is sequencing the vision. So what are you going to do first, followed by what, then followed by what, followed by what, right? And commerce and products are something that very much is something that is in our sequence of things that we will ultimately do with Flipboard.
Cool. We are out of time. Thank you so much
Thank you very much.
taking the time, talking to us.
It was really a pleasure.